More than 275 million people in the world suffer from an anxiety disorder, the most common being GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. On the other hand, 19.3% of the whole Colombian population reported having experienced a generalized anxiety disorder or attack at some point in their lives. Usually, these types of disorders are more common in academic environments, especially in the university space, where people are exposed to high levels of stress besides being immersed in a space that involves constant social interaction, in addition to an exposure to different situations that can create traumas or even a sense of nonconformity. Furthermore, according to the National Ministry of Health, during the last decades, there has been an exponential growth of anxiety in the younger generations, between 18 to 29 years old, with a growth rate of 17.76%. According to this, in the Universidad de los Andes, there are 14,243 students, of which 63% of the student body reported an anxiety disorder or any disorder related to a mental illness. The situations that can cause anxiety in students within the university context vary depending on the person. However, among the most common are academic pressure, uncertainty about the future, integration problems, traumatic experiences, among others. This is a regular student at the Universidad de los Andes, diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. We observe their behavior on a daily basis where they face different situations that increase their stress levels. Not only does the work corresponding to each subject overwhelm them, but being introvert they find it difficult to interact with new people, which make them insecure and makes them a victim of constant anxiety attacks. This causes them to sweat excessively, not only on the palms of their hands but also on their forehead, which in their imagination makes them look like an easy target for strangers. In this way, they look for a way to calm themselves down by hiding in their coat, as well as looking for places that are alone while they sneak among the people in the corridors. Their head only makes them think that they are making a fool of themselves, in addition to feeling insecure about themselves, which make them look for a way to flee from the environment in which they are. As a solution, A-Patch was born out of the need to create a fast and accessible alternative as a treatment for anxiety attacks. It was created as a solution to which these people can resort when they find themselves in an environment in which they do not feel completely safe, to create a sense of tranquility and comfort for their well-being. This alternative is composed of a series of 4 patches whose objective is, through biosensors and sensory stimuli, to simulate a quiet space to create a sense of security for patients while they are in spaces where interactions increase their stress levels. Our users are defined by university students, who have this condition and can be immersed in these situations while in the academic environment. This solution is portable, which makes it an accessible alternative at all times, so that through the levels detected by the biosensors in patients with anxiety attacks, the patches will begin to work together to provide a safe treatment for them in the shortest possible time, while seeking their well-being at all times. This system is mainly composed of 4 patches. A main patch consisting of a biosensor that allows measuring changes in cortisol levels in sweat. This patch is interconnected to another 3-patch system that, upon receiving the signal emitted by the biosensor where it perceives drastic changes in these levels, activates its operation. Each patch is activated at different degrees of anxiety, allowing the person to adjust and respond to certain stimuli depending on the degree of the attack they are facing. The patches are intended to mitigate and control the symptoms of anxiety through sensory stimulation therapy, distributed like this: a sensory stimulus through a texture patch, an olfactory stimulus through a patch with scent emission, a conjoined patch of temperature and compression to create the sense of a hug, simultaneously regulating body temperature. Symptoms and responses to stimuli will be monitored through a mobile app, which will receive all possible psychological changes and data that the biosensor can detect in the person. This will make it possible to identify those components that help as catalysts of the attack, so that the new stimuli that the person may need can be adjusted or formulated. This in order to carry out a more specific control of the symptoms and, in the long term, to be able to generate better complements to psychotherapy. To develop this process, it will require not only the involvement of the patient but also of the attending psychiatrist who is aware of the situation that this person is going through. In addition, the app will work as a tool using controlled information and data storage in order to create constant reports that will be sent to the specialist to keep track of the patient's real state. Jointly, the university will expect to support the use of this alternative, since it is in its interest to maintain the mental health of its students in good condition, while creating a safe space that generates well-being for them. This alternative will be developed for clinical and psychotherapeutic support to patients with GAD, adjusting the use of the device to the needs of the person with the therapy sessions and subsequently to its daily use. For this, We intend to develop alliances with different physicians in the areas of psychology and psychiatry to implement this system, with the aim of offering an effective solution for those who need it. With this in mind, the physicians will play the role of promoter of the product so that patients know about it and identify the benefits it can bring. These devices are designed as an electronic and portable daily use technology. For the development of these elements, we focus mainly on technology and medical equipment that ignore some aspects of human behavior, such as the emotional factors involved in using a medical device on a daily basis. Biosensor and electrode technology is key when designing an unobtrusive medical instrument and equipment, having as little influence as possible on the patient's daily routine. According to bioenergetic medicine, there are several energetic points in the human body in which different stimuli can be performed to create a sense of tranquility depending on the severity of the attack that the person is going through. In this way, it is proposed that the size of the product is determined by the technical components given by the type of patch that is being made. Likewise, the patches will be placed on different parts of the body, using an adhesive material that allows the creation of a durable and easily accessible solution. Additionally, the system of which the series of patches is composed requires few operational and maintenance resources so as not to generate additional cost. Likewise, the proposal allows expanding and scaling the scope of the system, since it could eventually be considered the opportunity to replicate it to treat, monitor, and control other types of disorders such as stress, autism, among others. The objective of this alternative is to contribute the fulfillment of the third Sustainable Development Goals, usually known as SDG, which correspond to health and well-being. In order to acquire this treatment, the patient must get a membership that will allow the user to get the set of patches, the personalization of them, and also the access to the mobile app that will monitor the results and will be the controller of the set. Also by having access to immediate help, tips, and alternative treatments. Once the patient has them set on the app, the treatment will start. Constant monitoring and inspection will be needed in order to review the recalibration and the maintenance of the adhesive. Once the treatment is over, the patient must return the patches to the provider and the devices will go into a process of repair and readjustment to make them suitable for another patient. If any patch needs to be completely replaced, some of the materials of the non-functional one will be reused in order to create a new one, as we keep our environmental impact as low as we can. On the other hand, it is important to mention that the patch can be used in the presence of water, thanks to the use of materials with a waterproof consistency. We understood the limitations we face in order to maintain the well-being for our users, as we also make this alternative accessible for them. This is why we are aware of the cost of the technology that the set will need. This is why many options for payment of the treatment will be available for our users. Also, confidentiality is needed because our patient's information is crucial and will need to be carefully treated. However, for the construction of this proposal, the principles of beneficence, autonomy, non-maleficence, and justice as the four principles of bioethics were taken into account, in order to gaze at all the dimensions that need to be included in order to develop an accurate alternative for all our users. A website has been developed for anyone who would like to delve in the construction of the project, besides getting acquainted with the context, the sustainability challenges, and the principles of bioethics. Thus, A-Patch becomes an easy and accessible alternative to provide a quick and timely solution to an anxiety attack, ensuring a sense of peace of mind to our users with the aim of creating a safe space that ensures the welfare of them.